All righty, team. Welcome to the Standard Podcast, where we raise the bar, rebuild the culture, and call out the lies or misconceptions that nobody else will. This isn't motivation. This is a movement. I'm Thomas Rowe, joined by my host, Aaron Sarles, and today we're sitting down with my man, Nik Lewis, a Canadian Football League legend whose name is written in the record books and whose story is about much more than numbers. Nik played 15 seasons in the CFL, won 2 Grey Cup championships, was named CFL Rookie of the Year, earned 5 West Division All-Star selections, and 3 CFL All-Star awards. He holds the all-time CFL record for career receptions with 1,051 catches, breaking a record that many thought would never be broken. But here's what makes Nik's story different. He went from Southern Arkansas University to becoming the greatest receiver in CFL history. And he's going to get into it. I believe he was a walk-on, all while navigating the highs of championship glory, the lows of injury and adversity, and the transition from player to coach. He's been inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, and today he serves as coach with the Calgary Stampeders. I don't know if you're currently doing that. The same team where his legendary career began. Nik's journey from undrafted American player to CFL legend is respected and to respected coach. It's about resilience, character, and what it really takes to build a legacy that goes well beyond statistics. We're diving into the truth behind what it really takes to build identity, discipline, and legacy in sports and in life. Let's get it on. Nik, you rock. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. What an introduction. I talk to a lot of people about edification and being able to properly edify somebody and understand the value that brings. So I appreciate you for that introduction.
Of course. We can actually just end the podcast right here. I'm sure people will start calling. Nik, you hold the CFL all-time record for receptions at 1,051 catches, a record many thought would never be broken. You're a 2-time Grey Cup champion. For those that aren't real familiar with football, that's Canadian football's version of the Super Bowl, the Lombardi Trophy. 5-time West Division All-Star and Canadian Football Hall of Fame inductee. What does raising the standard mean to Nik?
Oh, man, raising the standard is a big thing, right? I tell my daughter all the time, who's 10, the standard is the standard, and the standard that you set in your life to not go below, that's what's going to propel you to become what you will ultimately become. So for me, raising the standard was accepting the torch from my grandparents and from my parents and from my older siblings and cousins that did some amazing things in sports. And, I just wanted to be able to go out there and raise the bar even further. I wasn't the biggest guy, as a freshman in high school, I was 5'1". I remember my sophomore year in high school, my coach told me I wasn't going to grow anymore, and I went home and cried because I thought I was going to be 5'4" for the rest of my life. Nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, I knew it wasn't going to allow me to reach my dreams of what I wanted to accomplish on the field. And luckily, I grew another 6 inches, and here we are today. But just raising that bar is something that being a leader, understanding how to get there to that point, understanding what it takes to just ultimately decide in your life, this is what I want to become, and putting everything you have into it.
No doubt. What would you say is the biggest lie you feel the culture of the football industry, and I think it's probably parallels the American football as well as Canadian, maybe even international football, has sold athletes about what it takes to have a career like yours, 15 seasons, breaking records and winning championships. What do you think the lie or misconception is?
I think the biggest thing is it's hard for a lot of people to understand. Pro football is not all about talent. To be great in high school, the most talented players are going to be great. They're going to stand out. They're not going to play a lot of people that's their equal talent-wise. When you get to college, it's the same thing. When Georgia steps on the field or Alabama steps on the field with smaller teams, with Kennesaw State or whoever it is, they're going to have more talent. They're going to win the game. But in pro football, where everyone has talent, like I always like to call it, talent is like an engine. And just imagine being in a race, a car race, whatever engine you have to work with. But your engine doesn't have to be the fastest engine to win the car race. It's so much other things that, from choosing your tires and everything else that dictates how great you can become. And when you understand that your engine allows you to get in the race, but your engine will not make you the greatest of all time. football, the hardest part for a lot of people to understand is the mentality and also the mental, right? Walking into a room, learning 60 plays in 45 minutes, and then being able to go on the field 30 minutes later and go out there and execute those plays, get better and better every day is the hardest part for a lot of football players. So mentally not being able to retain the knowledge, not knowing what's going on the field, it's going to be very hard to compete at a high level. Mm-hmm. And that means your engine has to be the best engine in the race every time just for you to compete. And trust me, over 10 years, over 14, 15 years, by the time I was done, my engine barely got me in the race, but I was still able to go out there and compete at a high level and excel.
You came from Southern Arkansas University, not exactly a football powerhouse, and became the greatest receiver in CFL history. What did that journey, or how did that journey shape your understanding of what separates good players from legendary ones?
Yeah, Southern Ark, there's me, there's Fred Perry, Jordan Babineau, Don Unamba, a few of us, man, that's played professional football and had a chance to go and do it. But for me to come on as a walk-on to Southern Arkansas, I learned one thing that set me apart at Southern Arkansas. My compete level was better than most. And that was it. Waking up every day to go compete to earn a job, going from 12th on the depth chart with 12 receivers on the team to 4th to make the traveling team my rookie year. And then every day was wake up, compete, wake up, compete, wake up, compete, and just carry that with me through the rest of my life. It was always about show me who the best person in the room was, and I can show you I can go get him and I can catch him and pass him. But it's an opportunity in it. And I just love the fact that I gravitated towards competition so much. And sometimes it's a hindrance. Even at my daughter's hockey games, I get a little too competitive. But at the end of the day, I'd rather be too competitive than not competitive enough.
I hear that. We're going to turn it over to segment 2, which is identity and legacy. Aaron, take it away.
Okay. Awesome. Welcome. So I want to know who Nik Lewis is beyond all the beautiful accolades that Thomas shared with our audience. Who are you? What are you doing now? Tell our audience.
It's funny you asked me that. During my pro career, people know me by a lot of alter egos. So my first one was Geronimo Jones, and then it went to Simon Sleepwalker and Louis Mangenius and Route King Cole and all these different nicknames. And there were different versions of me because when I first got into the CFL, most of the people won't understand this, but I didn't feel like I was the person to represent us because I'm very soft-spoken, very laid back, very relaxed. I don't do a lot, but I am an entertainer. And it's like two different personalities that's like night and day. From my personality on the field, in between the lines, I'm able to understand this is what it takes to be the best, and you have to go out and dominate people, and you got to destroy people, and this is the mentality you have to have. But that wasn't me. And so understanding the alter egos, creating those allowed me to understand that I could create this version that represented me, that could go on the field, be brash, be loud, talk trash, make plays, and just enjoy the entertainment. But also what a lot of pros struggle with is when you're off the field, when you walk outside the lines, turn that off and just be who you are and just be a loving person that just wants to help people, want to support people, and be who my grandparents raised me to be.
I love that. We all need a few alter egos. Maybe that's all we need to get through life. That's why I'm like, those names are legendary. I love that. Can't wait to meet those guys. That's awesome. So with that, right, you obviously have had a storied career. You played 15 seasons, which is beyond what most people even dream of in professional sports. Very few make it that long. What does legacy, or what is the impact now that you want to have beyond that performance to develop the next generation?
That is something I sit with a lot, and understanding that I've heard it said before, if you only remember me from what I did on the football field, I failed. Understanding how I can now use that momentum that I gained on the football field to transfer into life and then go and impact communities, go and impact people. And to me, that's the ultimate goal, is to impact more people. How can I affect more people? And that's why I give a lot of time to train kids. I work with kids in Canada and the US, and I'll continue to do those things because I want to give people a true chance of accomplishing their goals, but also the understanding that the higher you climb, the more dangerous it is. All your friends are dropped off and you keep going and you keep wanting to go, but I'll be there for you. I'm able to help you understand the journey and just be more of a mentor to the kids out there. And then for fellow athletes, just trying to make a better way that allows us to live after the game and live productive lives and impact other people.
I love that. You do an incredible job, and I'm excited.
Thank you.
You haven't spoken much about your platform, which hopefully you will at some point. AO Sports, don't have no pressure, but I think you're really trying to transform the space, and I think that's even what we're trying to do here at Blueprint. Is like, how do you really change the landscape so it's not okay? My career is done and it's over with. You dealt with injuries, obviously, in the course of 15 seasons up in the Canadian Football League. How do setbacks and those challenges make you the player and the person that you are today?
You really have to step back and look at yourself in an honest way. Coming from a small town in Texas, going to a small town in Arkansas, Division II school, walking on, to getting to Canada and making it through training camp and starting my first game as a pro and having success. It was scary. Having to see a sports psychologist my first 2 years playing pro sports, because it was hard to learn to deal with how successful people saw you and trying to keep your innocence, I would say, at the same time of building those bridges and represent who you are on the field and off the field. A lot of what I look at, Aaron, is how we can be better. And it's not just myself. And I just try to do my little small part. Like you said, with AO Sports is something that I think is going to be transcendent to a lot of athletes, to a lot of sports content creators, but also to people that can come in and add value to this world, just like I needed. I needed people from the outside world that wasn't in sports to come in and help me become who I became, whether it's friends that no longer exist, but they added value to my life that helped me overcome some of the hardest situations in life to get here today. So I'm very thankful for that.
I love that. Yeah, you have some incredible things kind of percolating that are ready to pop. What's one truth, if you could give one truth to a young athlete or their parents, that you wish you understood about what it really takes to build a career that lasts, that's not just talent, but really outlines the character and discipline needed to play in order to accomplish that?
One of the things that I heard in school, in elementary and growing up my whole life from my parents, my grandparents, is life isn't fair. I think you have to really understand that life's not fair. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it. But the truth is, never put the value on yourself onto somebody else's decision, right? There's so many kids out there that work tremendously hard to accomplish a goal, being a pro athlete, or they get cut in training camp, or they never make it, or don't get drafted. That doesn't define your success. If it's somebody else's decision, it will never define who you are. Everything that you learned along the way will make you successful in whatever you're going to do in life. But for models and sports athletes, when it's somebody else's decision, don't align success and failure when somebody else is deciding your success or that determination of if you make it or not. It's not your success or failure.
That's such profound advice. That is so good. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to flip it back to Thomas, where he's going to take you through advice across all stages.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Nik, if you could sit down with yourself at Southern Arkansas before you knew you'd become the CFL's all-time reception leader, what would you tell your young player self about preparation, mindset, and what's coming?
I had this false confidence, and it was kind of like I go make a play and I just had an incredible amount of confidence. I would say just believe in yourself more from the start. It was always every year, even my pro career, it's like every year I'd come in and there was one play I make in preseason or in the first game that says, okay, you're still that guy.
Right.
But not having that confidence, through the whole process when I put in all the work, but having an extreme belief in yourself is something that I would sit down and really talk to myself about, because it's not that you need it, or not that you need to go and prove it, but you should have an extreme belief in yourself that allows you to do what you're looking to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, one of the things I'm just thinking about how Aaron and I deal with athletes, and a lot of them, some of them lack a little confidence, and you've got to believe in yourself because nobody else is, right? I mean, it falls on you first. With that, what about when you were going through adversity, the injuries or getting traded, the times when you thought people had written you off? What kept you going, and what would you tell athletes that are facing similar challenges today?
I guess I was pretty fortunate. I went through a couple injuries that I overcame, and it was just the mentality. And I talk to athletes all the time. It's like, this is a pretty dark story. I hope you're okay with me telling this.
Bring it.
But drug addicts, they can overdose doing less drugs than they've ever done before if they do it in a place that they're not familiar with.
Right.
If they do drugs in a bathroom, ones that walk in that bathroom, their body starts to prepare for that. I was the same way on the field. So no matter what injuries I had, when I walk in the locker room, my body, sometimes my last year in Calgary in 2014, I went to sleep at night thinking, I don't know how I'm going to play tomorrow. I woke up thinking the same thing. But somehow when I walked in the locker room, my body started to prepare itself to go through pain. The pain went away, and then we were able to get through the moment, right? And just understanding those things is very hard and it's very challenging. Challenging yourself, because life is always going to throw challenges at you. Being able to meet those challenges. And just like I tell my receivers, you got to be firefighters. When everybody's running out of the fire, you have to be able to go into the fire when it's hottest and most dangerous and do your job at a high level.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. So let's transition into coaching. So you were coaching or are coaching on the Calgary Stampeders, where your legendary career began. And I think you and I have talked about this off camera. There are a lot of great players that don't make great coaches.
Yep.
What are you trying to teach the next generation about football and about life that goes beyond just running routes and catching passes?
Man, I gave a presentation off a dartboard, and looking at a dartboard, and it's more about being a leader in life and understanding the responsibilities that you have at your forefront, and understanding how do we get the most out of each other and build that brotherhood, because we don't get to dictate if we play for 1 year, 3 years, 10 years, 14, 15, however long. It's really the opportunity to go out there and just try to do it as long as you can. But as a coach, I would seriously just sit down with my players. I still talk to my players. I didn't coach last year. My players still call me and ask me for advice as they go through life, and some aren't even playing anymore. And it's so gratifying to know that they trusted me,
right,
to be there for them and to be able to give them advice in this space. But it's always about, let's go out here and become legendary on the field. I don't know about the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi trophy, but on the Grey Cup, if you're a part of the game, if you play in that game and you win, your name goes on the Grey Cup.
That's awesome.
So it's a pretty cool thing to know that you're going to be immortal, and that's something that you look forward to, right, is getting your name on the Grey Cup. So that's always the first goal. But then it's like, okay, we live life. And Thomas, when I started my meetings, the first 5 minutes was a check-in. So I made sure we had enough time that I start 5 minutes when we do a check-in. Is anybody going through anything that they need support on? And we do it in front of the group because we're a group. And we want to make sure that everybody in the group is good, because whenever you're going through personal issues, it's so hard to focus on football. If you feel like you're going through something when your mom's sick or grandmother just passed away or anything happened, it's very hard to focus on football. So I wanted to make sure we could check in, show love, and make sure that everybody's good. And then from there, we'll talk a couple minutes about what's happening around the world as far as like what happened in the game last night and get people's perspective. And then once we lock in for the rest of the day. But I wanted to make sure that we had those two opportunities. One, to have a little personal time to make sure that everybody's good. And then two, just get out the chatter that people are going to already talk about. I don't want you in the back of the room talking about what I'm going over this stuff. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it as a group for a couple minutes, and then we're going to get to business.
No doubt. No doubt. I think a lot of times fans and young athletes don't realize that being an athlete, it also affects the entire family. We've actually introduced you to an NFL player, and I'm sure this happens in the CF. I'm sure it happens across all sports. Is he got traded and he came home and he's like, babe, you got to sell the house, pack up the kids, pack up the house and meet me in Indy. And she's like, I didn't sign up for this. And he's like, yeah, you did. You did. And it's tough on the family. We see we see what happens on Sundays, right? Or Monday night. And we think, oh, this is a great life. But it takes a toll on the family too, because like he literally had to report to camp the next day and there's the wife having to pick up the pieces. And it's got that. So the fact that you have a check-in I think is super important. And I hope more more coaches learn from this, from what Nik just shared. What about for now you're a parent, you touched on it earlier in the conversation. Now you're a parent, and we were actually talking to a Major League Baseball scout who, I mean, he was kind of tongue in cheek, but I could tell he was being serious, where he said parents are the problem. And what do you think that parents need to understand about supporting an athlete through a long career, through the ups and downs, through the championship and setbacks, through the recruiting, through the injuries, everything? What do you think parents need to understand?
Let the coach do what the coach needs to do. I actually get on the coaches sometimes for not disciplining my daughter enough because I know how valuable that is.
Right.
In a game one time, there was a coach who was younger than me, one of my receiver coach. He was the head coach's son. And I came off, I ran the wrong route, and he looked at me, he says, oh, I know you know it. I said, no, you got to coach me. And I said, one, everybody else needs to know that we're all on the same page anyway. I don't need them thinking I get special treatment.
Right.
Understand like your job as a coach, but as a parent, you got to step back. Like I'll talk to my daughter all the time about different stuff. And she's like, Dad, you played football. This is hockey. And I'm like, but I understand the game.
Right.
But at the same time, I try to empower the coaches. Like it's needed. Mm-hmm. Because no kid is going to the top without discipline.
That's it.
And whenever you get there, it's like if you're afraid to talk to your best athlete, you're going to struggle because they're going to let you down in the biggest moments. When the moments they need to be their best and pick the team up, like I talk to my daughter all the time about body language. When we're losing, don't come on the ice with bad body language.
Yeah.
Like it shows everything that the other team is winning, or it shows your team that their best player doesn't believe that they can win.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So understanding all those things as a parent is more about being in tune with the coaches, being able to sit down and have conversations with the coaches. I think more coaches need to be available to have those conversations, but in a respectful manner. But a parent more learning and not just coming in saying my kids should do this or my kids should be getting more playing time and all that. That's just a huge hindrance on that coach. And we never want to run good coaches off because there's not enough of them.
No doubt. No doubt. You know, it's funny. We were talking to one coach and he was sharing with us. He's like, I already know this guy. Let's call him Johnny. We already know Johnny has talent, but I show up to watch his pregame. Then I stick around after the game to watch how he interacts with the fans, with the families, with the opposing team, with the coaches. And there's no quicker way to rip apart morale on a team when the coaches give preferential treatment to the superstars, right? And then they just rip on one of the other players. That'll just divide a team. Nik, we're going to go over to segment 4, which is the rapid fire round. I'm going to turn it over to Aaron. Aaron, it's all you.
Okay, I'm back. Yay. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to start the sentence and you're going to finish it for me. So
Sounds
this is
good.
quick and easy. So discipline equals
Success.
leadership equals
Wins.
faith equals?
Support.
Legacy equals?
Lifetime.
What's one thing you would never compromise on?
My dignity.
That's good. Nobody's ever said that yet. I love that. And what is one message, if you could put it on a billboard for young athletes, what would your message to them be?
Wow, I don't know if I can answer that pretty quick. I got so many things.
Take your time. Go ahead.
What is one message? The first thing that came to my mind was go hard. So I'll go there. Go hard.
Go hard. I love it. Never quit. There we go. Okay, Thomas is back.
All right, Nick, we're getting into our closing segment, and this is the fun part where we get to learn a little bit about Nick, pull back the curtain. Nick, tell us your top 3 sports movies of all time. Could be any sport.
Well, I'll probably go 1, Varsity Blues.
Okay.
2, I'll go with Any Given Sunday. And then I'm trying to think of 3. You know what I really love is Bagger Vans.
There you go. That's no one's ever brought that. I mean, the golf movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Will Smith
Right.
and Matt Damon. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's ever brought that one up. That's a good one. Yeah. We haven't gotten any golf ones. All right. Final question before we get into how people can find you and get a hold of you. Take us through Nik Lewis's ritual, your superstition, whether you put your right shoe on first, your left, or whether you have your own game shirt underneath your pads. What was Nik's ritual?
I had all of them. I'll go through a couple. I always ate, as a pro, for home games, for a night game, I ate a foot-long chicken bacon ranch sub. And then for day games, I'd only eat 6-inch. So that was the only thing I'd eat the whole day until after the game. Then I get into the locker room. I do my thing. It's always right foot first, so right sock first, right shoe first. Anything going on right, my right hand goes first, whatever on that. And then every time I stepped on the field, I did a small prayer for, protection and support.
I love that. Nik, before we wrap up, is there something we didn't touch on today that you feel like athletes, coaches, fans need to hear about building a legendary legacy and transitioning from player to coach or just player to life?
I think a part of the transition is easier when you don't remove yourself, right? So as being top players, we understand we want to be have our own downtime, have our space in between things, but don't remove yourself from the world and don't put yourself on a pedestal. If somebody else wants to put you there, that's fine, but never put yourself on the pedestal, and just continue to do good work on the field and off the field, and use your legacy, use your influence for positive and love at the end of the day. And, I always tell people there's somebody out there that knows me as the worst person and somebody out there knows me as the best person.
Right.
And I'm a mix of both people, depending on when you met me, if I'm being competitive and what's going on at that time. And I just try to strive every day to be the best version of myself. And for the days that I'm not the best version of myself, I learn and just try to be better the next day.
Love it. Love it. Nik, where can people connect with you, whether that's a website, social media, or an email? Where would you like people to reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, on LinkedIn is Nik Lewis, N-I-K, Lewis, and on X and Instagram, NIKEL18. My Facebook's been full. I've had a waiting list on Facebook for a long time. I don't know why they capped it at 5,000 people. I don't have any fan pages or anything like that. Or if there is one, I didn't start it. Connect with me there. Stay tuned to what we're doing with AO Sports. It's going to be an amazing platform. I'm glad to have you and Aaron on board with what we're doing. We're going to bring a lot more of this and a lot of great opportunities to the forefront while giving away exclusive opportunities and creating new memories and excitement together. So I'm just so proud of where I am in life. I'm so proud to know you two and just be a part of what you're doing and just know that together a lot of great things are on the forefront.
No doubt. Team, reach out to Nik. He definitely appreciates it. And he's an encyclopedia of information when it comes to sports and business. Nik, thanks for joining us with your legendary career. And team, if this conversation hit you, do 2 things for us. 1, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. a young athlete get grinding to make it, a coach developing players, a fan who wants to understand what greatness really looks like. 2, follow Nik in his journey. Definitely reach out. He's part of the Calgary Stampeders as well as AO Sports. And if you're an athlete, parent, or coach ready to raise the standard, check us out at blueprintbluechip.com. We help athletes build identity, discipline, and legacy that goes well beyond the game. And if you're ready to get clear on who you are beyond the game, just reach out we have a 3-day free reset, win-play show where we could help you decide what's your next move, both in sports and in business. And if this episode has resonated with you, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps us reach more athletes, parents, and leaders who need to hear the messages like Nik has just shared. This is a Standard Podcast. This is a movement, and this movement only grows when we raise the standard together. Talent fades, but truth endures. Let's raise the bar. Let's rebuild the culture, and let's become the standard. Aaron, Nik, you guys rock. Thanks so much. Team, we'll see you next time.